Hello everyone, my name is Chris Kinsey. This is the second video I'm making on this YouTube channel in this self-development process, this lifelong process. I'm just trying to become a better version of myself every single day. There are a lot of podcasts I've been listening to lately, and I've been listening to them over and over again, and each time I'm picking up little pieces that make me realize something else that I can do in my life to help me be better. One thing in particular that I really am thinking about is like my and anyone's ability and want to change their life. Not in the sense that, oh my gosh, you're gonna wake up tomorrow and become a whole brand new person, or oh, you're gonna wake up tomorrow and you're gonna be a millionaire. That's not how it works. But listening to these podcasts, the Mindset Mentor podcasts, there was an interview that was done with a psychotherapist, and it was all about how we view ourselves and how we view other people, and our willingness to change, and what's stopping us from being able to change, and things of that nature. And it started off with people who go to therapy, people who don't want to go to therapy for whatever reason, and it really dives into maybe you just need to talk to somebody about whatever it is you're going through. Maybe you have a friend who really listens to you when you talk to them, and maybe they actually give you some advice and talk to you about your situation, as opposed to just agreeing with whatever it is that you're saying. A lot of people aren't willing to go to therapy, or aren't willing to change, not because they think that they're perfect, but just because maybe they don't feel like they need to, or maybe they're just afraid. When you really think about the act of changing yourself, you're like, well, what is that? What does that mean? You go about your daily routine, and you have an interaction with somebody that didn't go very well. Maybe you realize that you reacted negatively toward the person for whatever reason, and all of this that I'm learning, it's if you're reacting negatively towards something, towards somebody, toward a situation, then it's really you. You need to do some type of self-reflection and figure out why did I react that way? Why did that make me mad? Why did something that somebody else said upset me? What is it that what is it that has happened in my life that made me feel that way? And so many people, myself included, we just forget about it, or we dwell in it, and we don't really think about the underlying issues. A lot of times, especially in our culture, we just want to suppress our emotions. We don't deal with them. We may see it as a sign of weakness or something, and we just don't deal with them. And so something else that I've learned is a lot of people will, and you've heard it, people have said it, you eat too much, you get depressed, and you lash out in anger, you know, insomnia, all of these different things happen, and you're thinking, well, why do I have insomnia, or why am I doing this, or why am I doing that, when it could stem from, that situation, or that feeling, that emotion that you just wanted to bury all that time ago. And it's hard for people to deal with that. It's hard to confront your fears, confront your emotions, dwell in them, and try and figure out why they're there and what's causing them. I used to think that even though my aunt's a therapist, and I guess in a way I've always been really curious about therapy. I'd never actually been to therapy. I talked with my aunt a little bit about a few things that I had dealt with, and I'm sure there's plenty that she's noticed about me that she respected and just kind of let me go on my path. Parts of me maybe wish that she had pointed some of those out, because psychology and therapy, it's always kind of piqued my interest. And so when I'm listening to this podcast with this therapist, it intrigues me, and I want to listen to it over and over again, because there's something else that I missed. There's something else that they're talking about that I'm like, oh wow, that's me. Oh wow, I know somebody that's dealt with that. Oh wow, so this is, nobody wants to feel alone, and you're not. Everybody deals with these things, and that they discuss in this this particular podcast that I'm really fond of is how we sabotage our efforts to change. And so in an example, a lot of people have New Year's resolutions. A lot of people decide, I'm going to lose weight on January 1, and then something happens and they just give up, or they just stop. You go one day and you're like, oh well, I ate too much that day, will that ruin the whole thing? Well, no, that didn't ruin the entire process. It's a process. It's not just something that's going to appear in one day. It's not just something that's gonna happen overnight. If you're on a weight loss journey, it's called a journey for a reason. It's gonna take time, and it's not just something that's gonna fix it one time. It's something that you have to work on every single day. And so if you have to work on it every single day, then of course, everybody's gonna screw up. Everybody's gonna overeat one day. Everybody's gonna wanna snack on something. That doesn't mean you have to stop. That doesn't mean to give up. You keep going. And so we, and even people that achieve whatever it is that they're trying to achieve, they'll get to that weight loss journey. They'll lose that 100 pounds. And then what do? They just eventually go back to the way that they were before, because they don't know, they haven't changed their mindset. They're still stuck in that old mindset. And so you just have to, work on it every single day. This therapist, in this podcast, was Lori Gottlieb. She kind of explains what it means about going to therapy, and her opinion on going to therapy, and like I mentioned before, it really piques my interest. It's definitely something that I want to do at some point. And she said that a lot of people, you go into therapy, you talk to a therapist, they dive into your childhood and your past experiences and your past trauma. And so then for me, I was like, well, when does it ever end? When like, I thought people just, just go to therapy forever. And I've had conversations with my aunt, and I would hear her say, yeah, this person's, ready to stop coming to see me. And those patients, they just kind of get upset because they're like, I don't want to stop seeing you. And my aunt, she's like, well, you don't need me anymore. And I never asked her about that. But I always wondered, I was like, what do you mean? Like, how do you just decide that somebody doesn't need to be coming to see you anymore? I don't understand that. And so in this interview, this podcast interview, Lori talked about going to therapy to unknow yourself, not to necessarily like get to know who you are, but get to unknow that version of yourself that no longer applies to you today. So, you go to therapy, you talk about all of your issues, you figure out what it is in your childhood that really is making you feel these certain ways about all of these things that you're going through, and you address them and you work on them, and eventually they're not, it's all manageable now. Like, those aren't your issues anymore. You've overcome them. And so once you overcome those, that's kind of like, oh, so that's why you don't have to keep going to therapy. That makes more sense. It never occurred to me before that you just eventually, you learn to you learn to deal with your life and learn to manage. Never hurts to go to therapy. I'm sure I'll end up starting to go someday, because there's just so much that I don't know, and there's so much that I want to learn about myself. And while these podcasts are amazing and they're teaching me a lot about some of these like certain fundamentals, it's not everything. And so another example from this podcast that just, I'm sure, can resonate with a lot of people is about how we talk down on ourselves so much, how we talk so negatively towards ourselves, and we don't even realize it. It could be the simplest thing, like, you forgot to, you left something at work, or you forgot to you made an error when you were typing something. Who knows? And in your mind, you're just like, oh crap, well, I'm so stupid because I did that, or oh, I'm such a moron, or oh, I'm such a dumbass, or I can't do anything right. And that's just simply not true. Like, you make an error, you fix it, and you move on. And that's really been sitting with me and resonating with me, because I have been, every day I wake up, I make my bed, and I tell myself all these affirmations, and I just remind myself that, like, I am happy. I am, I am respectful. I am respectable. I am, all of these things. And I just try to always remind myself of the positive, because they say that you're, in your subconscious, everything that you say to yourself and everything you think is stored in your subconscious, and your subconscious doesn't know whether or not something is actually true or false. And so if you're telling yourself and reminding yourself all of these negative things and all of these, oh, I'll never get that job, I'll never become successful, I'll never become this, I'll never become that. And I did the same thing for a long time. I thought that maybe, like, if the opposite would happen. Like, if I sat there and talked about all the negative things and talked negatively, and the fact that I was aware that things weren't going well, that maybe things would just change. And in this process, I'm learning that that's not how it works. Like, you've got to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that you can accomplish anything, that you can do anything, that you can get through anything, that you can be anything you want. And, why let anything else or anyone else stand in your way? What, if you want to become a pilot, if you want to, I don't know, become an artist, if you whatever you want to do it. Like, for me, something else this has made me think about is like, for example, being an artist. Like, I've always thought, well, I love math and I love accounting. I don't have a creative mind, so I'm not gonna, like, why would I pursue that? Why would I do that? And it just reminded me, like, I can do those things if I practice and I use that part of my brain, and that, to do that. Because it's the other side of the brain. Like, if I start trying to write with my left hand, and I do it for long enough, I'm going to learn how to write with my left hand. If I take art classes and I practice, I'm eventually going to learn how to draw. And that reminds me of, again, my aunt, who I remember shortly after I moved in with them. I talked to, I would say, I can't draw. I don't know. All I can do is draw a stick figure. And she would say, why do you say that? Of course you can. And, I'm just like, no, I can't. I don't know. I don't know how. And that's just it. You don't know how. So until you learn how, you're not going to know how. But you have to be willing to do it. A lot of times we tend to compare ourselves to other people. I do it. Something else I'm working on is just not comparing myself to other people and where they are. Everyone is in a different place in their journey, in their life. Everyone has different things to work on. Nobody's in the same place. Nobody's the same. You can't compare yourself to somebody, if you're trying to go to the gym, you can't compare yourself to somebody who's been going to the gym for 2 years who is super fit. You can't. You can say, hey, I really like the way that, I really like that physique. I eventually want to have that physique, and I'm going to create a plan. You make your plan, and you work on it every day. If you fail, get up the next day, do it again. Try again. You're eventually going to get there. And once you do, make another goal. Like, you would be shocked at how much you can do, just knowing that every single day you get 1% better. Every single day you're better than you were the day before. That's all it takes. So many people focus on the negative, and they get nowhere. Like, you focus on the negative is what you're going to get. You focus on the positive, you focus on, your goals, make a list of your goals, of everything you want to do, and just go for it. Like, this planet, this world is, like, it's ours. Like, it's our oyster. It's like, we can do anything we want to do. And, I never realized that until recently. It didn't occur to me until I listened to these podcasts, and I listened to what these people had to say, and it just, like, wow, like, anybody can completely turn their life around by just changing your actions. What you do today will make what your life is tomorrow. Your tomorrow is based on what you do today. Today was, it's a product of what you did yesterday. And so it's just kind of like, what can you do today to make tomorrow better? Whose life can you impact? What just be the best person that you can be, for yourself and for other people. Another concept that I learned in this podcast is this example. It came from this example that Lori Gottlieb had used in this podcast, and it kind of goes like, you feel like you're a prisoner. You feel like you're a prisoner behind the bars. You're shaking them. You're trying to get out, but they're open on both sides. And so with that, you can escape. You just essentially don't want to. You're so fearful about what's out there and the responsibility that comes with it that you don't ever leave. You just stay there. You stay in your comfort zone. You never leave your comfort zone. And another, I'm still learning, like, to find ways to get out of my comfort zone. Like, making these videos is definitely a nerve-wracking for me, because like, I'm learning about just being able to put myself out there and hoping that somebody gets something out of this. Everybody's still gonna be here. Everybody's still gonna judge you. Everybody, like, the only thing that you can do is change your outlook or perception on it. If you just keep doing what you're passionate about, then, and it's impacting people in a way that is good, then keep doing it. And in that, whenever you feel like you're trapped and you're behind those bars, like I said, you don't want to leave them, because then you feel like you're responsible for your life, and you have nobody else to blame but yourself, and you have to take responsibility for your actions, and there are too many people out there that just want to blame everybody else for their own circumstances. Like, oh, well, it's the government's fault. Oh, well, it's somebody else's fault that I couldn't do this today. It was like, no, like, everything, you are a product of your own circumstances. You are not just a product of your own circumstances. You can change anything at any given point. Too many people just don't realize that. I've been posting several quotes on my social media, Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and the quote by Gandhi, like, be the change that you want to see in the world. I feel that's huge, because I remember being in middle school and kind of just feeling compelled to like, voice my opinion, to help with friends who are dealing with situations and things like that. And I'm just a kid, but I want to help, and I want to be able to, give somebody some guidance if I can. But I remember that it never worked out. Like, I'd say something and the person would always, do the complete opposite, or I'd be like, oh, I'd give them feedback because they were asking for feedback, and they just would do the complete opposite. And I'm just like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? Like, why? And so I think eventually I kind of remember feeling like it was just pointless. And so I just stopped and I just closed off. And I think that was a big deal. Because like going through this and making these videos and, kind of giving people a little bit of information about me and my life bit by bit as I kind of grow through this process, it makes me feel so much better. I just feel really good inside. And, I want to be able to help. I want to help as many people as I can, just by kind of getting my story out there, and maybe somebody else feels the same way. And maybe somebody else has gone through something similar, or maybe something I say kind of resonates with somebody, or maybe, like, it can be the littlest of things, and that's all it takes. An important realization I had, and it was a long time ago, but I never really knew what to do about it, was until recently, and that is that I grew up my entire life, like, kind of being unsure about about anything and how life would go, and I always made sure that there was as little uncertainty in my life as possible. And so, like, I had a job in retail for years, because I felt safe and I felt secure and I had a job and I didn't have to worry about anything. And so I made sure that there was always a plan B if something else wasn't going to work out, because I didn't want to feel that feeling of like lost and hopeless, and like I wasn't ever going to amount to anything, and I wasn't going to have something there to make sure that I could lean on. And so I always made sure I had that, and I felt like that was holding me back so much. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are dealing with the same exact thing, like whether it's work or your relationship or whatever it may be, that you're just holding on to it simply because you're scared of the unknown, and that's okay. Like, it's just something that you've got to work through. I remember as soon as I left my job at CVS, it was like this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like, my stress was gone. I remember just feeling like everything was just great. It was incredible. I always thought that I just had to keep going down that path and keep going down that path, because it was kept paying my bills. But that also reminds me of the whole, like, there's a video out there of Will Smith going skydiving for the first time, which is really fun, by the way. And he talks about talks about fear and how we all have fear, and whenever you're getting up, you're getting on that airplane, and you're scared the entire time, and then once that door opens, and you get pushed out or you jump out of the airplane, like, there's nothing else, there's nothing to fear, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, you were terrified the entire time up until you jumped out of the airplane, and then once you jump out of the airplane, the fear is gone. It's like, holy crap, like, this is amazing. And so then he goes on to say that every good thing, all of these amazing opportunities are placed on the other side of fear. And that was just like another aha moment for me. Like, okay, well, what can I do again to, like, get out of my comfort zone? Like, and I'm trying to think of more and more ways to do that, because who knows what opportunities there are out there for me, just by stepping out of my comfort zone and doing things that other people aren't doing, and just I really feel like we all have the ability to change. We are just stuck in our ways, or we're too scared, but it is entirely possible. There are people that are 3 times my age that are out there, and they're working on themselves and trying to better themselves. I can only imagine what it would be like if every single person would be able to feel that rush that I personally get from learning something new about myself, and learning and knowing that there's something else that I can do to work on myself. Like, if every single person that's out there could do that, I could only imagine how much better the world would be. Obviously, that can't always be realistic, but it is a hope. Just, wake up every day hoping to make an impact on somebody's life that you didn't think you could before. Don't be afraid of change. Have a great day.